All right, what's up, everybody? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Health and Fitness podcast. As always, joined by my good friend, business partner, health and fitness mentor, Jim Brown. Jim, what's up, brother?
Surviving, man.
Yeah, yeah, love it, dude. Well, I'm excited for today.
Yeah.
The last episode that we released was kind of a deep dive breakdown of your your experience with retatrutide and what you've learned during this kind of experimental journey. And today we're going to go into Mots-C. But before we do so, just to give our YouTube disclaimer here or podcast disclaimer. Look, you guys, we are not medical physicians. We're not medical doctors. We're just two dudes on the internet here talking, right, sharing our own experiences. So do not take this as medical advice. Seek your own medical professional for medical advice. So we're not here to give medical advice. We're just here talking about Jim's experience, what he's personally experienced. All right. So with that being said, man, so Mots-c Peptide. Um, First, let's maybe just break down like what turned you on to this. How'd you discover it?
Well, going through the peptides, one of my good friends who I consider a peer had said, yeah, what you should dive into some of the mitochondrial peptides and see what you think. These are the ones I kind of like. These are the ones that I really don't. And, that started with like methylene blue. I tried the SLUP 332. I've tried, there's a couple other ones that SS, man, I forget. Anyway, there's like four or five of them. And I tried all of those, and some of them you could tell, I got kind of an uptick in energy. I would sweat a little bit more in cardio, but not really anything that I thought was earth shattering. Methylene blue is kind of a strange one for me, and I think it's one of those ones depending on what your mitochondria, what shape they're in. It depends how it affects you. Some people swear by it. They love it. They get all this energy and concentration out of it. And then me, I can't really tell if it helps or not. And so that's one of those. So anyway, I was just kind of working my way through those and discovered Mots-c. And Mots-c from the first day that I took it, I noticed something. Um, I started with 1 milligram, of course, for research only. This wasn't me. This was an identical chimp, that looks like me that I experiment with. And anyway, so 1 milligram and tried that. And, I felt energized that day. I noticed it interrupted my sleep a little bit at night. And, I was a little concerned about that, but woke up the next day and had even more energy. So I continued to do that. And that first week or so, my sleep was interrupted, but it didn't matter. It was just incredible. And I noticed myself, I was even on the road too. And typically when I'm on the road or traveling, I'm working 12, 14-hour days. And I usually have 200 milligrams of caffeine or so in the morning. And then I'll have to have another hit, of that, usually a second monster, early afternoon, and then maybe a small, Diet Coke or something, 60, 80 milligrams after that to keep going. But with the Mots-c, didn't really crave it, didn't need it. I had the one in the morning, just kind of out of habit to go work out, but then energy throughout the day was incredible. So I continued doing that. I'm probably at week 10 now. 1 milligram is still very noticeable. If I take 3 to 4 days off, then I start to notice my energy change a little bit. And as soon as I go back on, it picks right back up. So in terms of what it does, it makes my gas tank feel like it's fuller for longer. Even when I'm not working or working out or whatever, like I can't sit in the chair. I don't want to sit and watch TV. I want to go outside and work and do something or fix something. There's a multitude of things to do around the house to fix, at least in my house. And so, energy wise, it's fucking life changing. Um, and I got some stories I'll share at the end of people, but everybody who's tried it has been super impressed. The only thing I will say is that, it is a little bit irritant at the site. So on my particular research animal, in the belly fat, there's not a lot of fat there. You could notice it would be some swelling, especially if you kept doing it day after day in that same area. So we just spread it around in larger areas, like in the butt, just wherever. And it's irritating for 30, 40 seconds and then it kind of goes away. And as I'm on it longer, that's less and less and less. But that's a pretty typical user experience for Mots-c. But it's an incredible compound, man. And I think the older you are, the more dramatic the effects are going to be.
Yeah. And so correct me if I get anything wrong here, but from my understanding, just going back to, I don't know, high school science class, is that okay, like when you consume food, food gets broken down through your digestive system, gets, goes to the bloodstream, gets absorbed in the cell, gets absorbed in the mitochondria, creates ATP. That's how we create energy. I'm sure it's way more complex than that, but just a simplified version. So it makes sense that the healthier your mitochondria is, the more energy that we're going to have. You know,
Yeah,
um,
and the thing that I really like about Mots-c, the other mitochondrial type peptides and bioregulators or whatever, they're like I think Dr. Trevor used this, and it was a really good analogy. It's like pouring gasoline on those. Those are kind of like pouring gas on your mitochondrial engine. It revs them up, gets them to work a little bit harder, and I mean, I sweat more during cardio, but I can't tell you that I have energy all day. I don't have the sustained energy. But Mots-c goes in and fixes the shit, goes back into the mitochondrial factory and fixes stuff up and makes it work better like it used to. And between that, the Wolverine stack of the three peptides that we'll talk about some other time, the Mots-c and what retatrutide's done to my metabolism, um, for all intents, not mentally sometimes, but physically, I feel at least a decade younger. I mean, maybe more energy wise and pain wise. It's these three class of peptides, I could literally say it changed my life. And I got a story I'll share at the end, but it's even more dramatic, for a friend, a very good friend of mine. And, that was the inspiration really to dive back into peptides and try to help people with them. I mean, literally these three types of peptides have changed everything for me. So very powerful. I just can't be more impressed with it.
so then, like when we were talking about last week with retatrutide, like that's something like, okay, you can do like a weekly, weekly injection with where it sounds like this is more daily.
Yeah, I like daily. You can experiment. I have friends and family that are doing every other day, every third day. You can do that, but they're not high output people either. These are people that are older than me and, they walk the dog and kind of, you know, look after grandkids or something. They're not working out. They're not really pushing. But for me, I feel like with the 1 milligram, I've been up to 1.5. I'm sorry, 1 milligram, 1 milligram to 1.5 milligram a day. It just keeps me at that energy level that is incredible, and that's including a workout a day, sometimes multiple cardio sessions, physical work. The other weekend when I went spearfishing, typically that's like a 12, 18-hour day. I don't sleep great the night before because I'm either excited or, worried or scared or whatever, what all that wonderful stuff is before we go do these adventures. And, I'm typically moving 300, 400 pounds of gear once, twice, carrying it, dragging it an eighth of a mile, loading it on an unstable platform, and then, being on a boat for 1 to 2 hours. And then I got a 90-pound pack on my back trying to put crap on and gear on and not fall overboard, not fall face down. And so it's just, and then in the water, then climbing back on board and doing that up to 6, 7, 8 times. It's physically taxing. And then when we get back, got to move all that gear again and clean fish, fillet fish for sometimes for an hour, and then drive home an hour and then unload that gear one more time. So some of those days are just exhausting. And some of those days it's 600 milligrams of caffeine and ephedra just to get me home safe. Um, I don't need that anymore. Maybe a couple monsters and that's it. And it's not really that I need them. It's kind of out of habit, and I like the taste of them. But it's really changed a lot. I just can't say enough about it. I'm just thoroughly impressed.
So outside of the disruption of sleep for that first week, then your sounds like your body kind of adapted and adjusted. I mean, is there any, negative other side effects that you or anybody that you know or that you've heard of that is experienced just to be prepped?
No, just the site pain at the injection site. And there's some strategies you can do that. If you wanted to, you could water down the solution a little bit, double dilute it, things like that. You could put multiple peptides in the shot if you wanted to. I've watered it down with B12 before. But almost everybody experiences a little bit of site pain where it's itchy and you might have a little red bump for a few days. Um, Almost everybody reports that. And at least everybody that I've talked to and known for sure that have used it and experienced the benefits is, it could be 10 times worse. I don't care. I'm taking it just for the benefits. So it's actually worth a pain in the ass. You
Yeah.
know?
So in sorry if you said this before, but I know with some of these you can do it like sub Q or IM. Is that the same there with this, or is it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I am, but typically I'm using for my research that 1/4 inch insulin needle. So it doesn't quite, even though I'm super lean, it doesn't quite go into the muscle belly at that. I'm sure well, I did use some longer ones and it did go IM and I experienced, the bump, felt a little bit of site pain for, maybe half a day, but not compared to, like we've had testosterone or whatever shots where that's
Yeah,
gone bad and you can't sit down for a week. Nothing like that.
yeah, no, like crazy Charlie horses.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really interesting compound. It helps your cells burn more fat and sugar more efficiently. So the nutrients that your mitochondria are processing, it just works better. Insulin sensitivity improves. People notice inflammation and oxidative stress drop, and it mimics kind of the effect of exercise, but not like the other bioregulators and peptides where it kind of revs up your mitochondria. I think it's because everything's just acting more efficiently. And because of that, I think that you get more energy out of it. And I don't know if it's a combination with that and my insulin sensitivity being on point, but man, I just the nutrients go where they're supposed to go again, like they did when I was freaking 30. I have to eat more carbs. It's just, I don't know. It's part of the mix and it's working so well. I hope it continues.
Yeah. So then, so with this, like okay, like with retatrutide, I know there are peptides, but there's probably different buckets, right? And this is just me being extremely naive, knowing nothing about you know any of this. Like okay, with Retta, like you talked about, there was like kind of building up and then going down, right? Where it's like you're on it for so much time, then you go down to like a maintenance dose or go off completely to reset, your body. Is this something that, as you're experimenting with this, and again, the research that you've done on this, is it something that is continual or does it need to be kind of,
I've played with going up a little bit and it didn't really, I think I did 2 milligrams a few days and I got a little bit more boost out of it, but one works great. And like I said, I believe I'm on week 10 and haven't changed that at all. If I started losing some of the effectiveness, I would probably go up, but I just haven't really felt the need to. Now I've talked to some younger guys, right, on Twitter, but these guys in their 20s and 30s, and they're like, "Oh man, I didn't feel anything. I went up to 5 grams, and one guy injected so much he got anaphylactic shock, at like fucking 7 and 10 milligrams at a time." And I'm like, well, I don't know about you, but when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, my mitochondria are pretty goddamn healthy. So
yeah,
I don't know if you're going to experience it. I really don't. But, and I do hit cardio and I put out and I work and I do all those things. And my mitochondria were probably pretty healthy for a 54-year-old dude, but I'm still fucking 54. So you're gonna have some, some down regulation no matter what you do. But I really think that this is part of the key that's really corrected a lot of stuff for me and others. Again, I got a story that I want to share, but it's incredible.
yeah. Well, let's go into the story, man.
Well, one of my best friends, really good friend, this is this person's a warrior, man. A lot of times you're around people, you don't really know how much they're in pain. They say, "Oh, my back hurts," or "This hurts," "My knee hurts," "My neck hurts," and you don't really realize it, right? But one day, they finally tell you, and it kind of hits, and it's just kind of shocking, that some people can live in that much pain and still be a positive person, and all the things, and try to just keep working out and putting out. Well, this particular person, you know, started with retatrutide, was having all kinds of weird metabolism shit happen, right? Went to see a functional medicine practitioner and put her on a weird diet, and that kind of helped. And so I thought it was really digestion related. And then that kind of started crashing too. So I had suggested retatrutide, and they had started on the retatrutide very low dose. You know, we're talking like 1 milligram, I think eventually up to 1.5, but just started changing everything. Um, you know, this person probably lost, I don't know, 20, 25 pounds, but totally changed everything on her body, right? Everything started working again, right? More energy, all the magic that retatrutide does. And, you know, it's incredible to see. So the less weight, you know, better the attitude. Of course, you feel better about yourself. You know, I think there was a little bit of pain reduction just because of inflammation and all the things that, you know, extra body fat causes. And then tried the Mots-c. And man, like in a couple days, you know, when somebody tells you, I feel like I got myself back, I feel like I got my old life back, and everybody around them can tell, and you can just see it. It's pretty fucking cool, man. It's really cool to see. You know, you don't see fucking magnesium or vitamin C or any of those shit that we buy, the supplements buy have massive action like this. Like, dude, I'm talking about life changing type shit where uh, it's, I don't know how to describe it. I've never seen anything like it. You know, when you get somebody to drop a bunch of body fat or maybe you get them on hormones, you know, that can be life changing, but it's not like this. It's just not like this. So, last thing in the story. So now, now I got this person taking shots all day, right? So I'm like, well, let's add one more class. Let's try the BPC TB5 copper, right? The Wolverine stack. And you know, that was the one that really did it, man. That was the one that really got me. So again, this person just operates in a lot of pain. Maybe about a week in, hey, I noticed my back doesn't hurt. It's kind of strange. Okay, maybe you're sitting different, maybe you're sleeping different, whatever. Um, no, like really, my body pain is starting to diminish. I don't have it anymore. We're now fast forward maybe week 4 or 5. Um, you know, this person has a young son that wanted to run a half marathon, and this person runs. Like she's a fucking runner. Like when you see her run on a machine on a treadmill, it's like watching a fucking panther or something run. Like really, really athletic. You can just tell, born to run, right? Track athlete, and just can't do it. You know, the back pain, the neck pain, the knee pain, and said I ran 2 miles yesterday and my knee doesn't fucking hurt. And I, it's hard to believe, man, if you didn't experience it yourself. It's fucking hard to believe. Well, one, you know, I'm hearing this story and this person doesn't lie. There's no reason to make this shit up, and it can't be placebo, man. It can't be. The pain
Yeah.
is too much. And then fast forward, you know, I'm having these shoulder problems where my rotator cuffs are not fucking coming back this time. I had, you know, I tore my bicep last December. Came back from that. I started pressing again, and I started pressing a little bit too heavy, too soon, and my shoulders were kind of detrained from not training, you know, not being able to press really, and so they kind of got injured a little bit, but they were under control. And then I got attacked by that first wasp nest, where I was swinging my hands and arms around, and I had to peel off my shirt and run through the yard, you know, run for the lake and shit. And those that re-injured and tore both rotators. And then I had a second wasp attack where I did the same thing to the other one. And so I wasn't able to lift my arm like that or to take a drink from a cup for like 12 weeks. And I'm rehabbing them every day, dude. Like that's a full-time job for me. When I hurt my shoulders, I have a real specific things that I do to get back online, and it just wasn't fucking happening. So I'm going to my guy. I'm getting all this therapy. You know, we're doing everything he has. He's dry needling. He's active release therapy. All the things that helped me in the past. It's just not fucking moving the needle. You know, and I'm like $800 in now with all this fucking therapy, and it's not helping. And so I'm at the point I'm desperate. I'm thinking, shit, you know, this might be it. I might have to go have surgery. And before this story and a few more people that I trust telling me I just have to take it daily and it's working for me, I did all this shit. I tried BPC, I tried, TB 500, but I would try them in acuity. When I hurt something or I tore a muscle, I would take a large bolus and run it for a short period of time and then got back online, and I couldn't tell if it did anything. But now I'm probably week 6, 7, and then all of a sudden my shoulders just started responding. I sit down at my desk all day and I get up and my back isn't stiff. I get out of bed in the morning and I'm not, limping to the bathroom. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't, but from firsthand accounts from this person, who is fucking tough as shit, and to see them out of pain and with energy again, it's crazy. To notice it in myself, I, I I don't know what to say, man. I just, if you're one of these people that are in pain, or you're just starting to feel de-energized, you're 45, 50, whatever, man. I don't know. I can't imagine why you don't want to try this, but you know, what do I know? I'm just telling you what I've experienced and what I've seen in others. And for some people, they don't notice it. Okay, I get that. Um, I didn't notice BPC and TB when I ran it first either, but I was using the acuity. I didn't do it in a long-term run. But boy, these three things that we've covered, that Wolverine stack, the Mots-C, and then the Retatrutide is, man, it's simply changed my life, dude.
Now, would you, and that's awesome, dude. I mean, anyways, you're telling that story. I'm sitting there thinking like, there's probably a bigger percentage of at least, the American population adults that, suffer from fatigue, suffer from chronic pain, and then like
Yeah,
typically like what's the solution? Like you go to your doctor, maybe they give you some type of anti-inflammatory, some type of pain pill, but it's like,
yeah.
okay, like that jacks you up in many other ways.
Yeah, and we'll dive into the Wolverine stack. We'll dive into those a little bit more if you guys want. There's a lot of people out there who do these podcasts. They'll tell you exactly all the biomechanical actions and all that stuff if you want to really dive into it. But those three things do things that fix your shit. Like Mots-c is the only mitochondrial peptide that fixes, to my knowledge and from my understanding, fixes the factory. And Retatrutide and the GLPs, but Retatrutide is the best. Like just what it did for my insulin sensitivity, it fixed it. Fucking supplements don't do that shit. They don't even come close, man. They don't even come close. Like I know I've said this a bunch of times, but in my 40 years of being in bodybuilding and fitness, 30 of that, maybe 25 of that, more than that, 30 of that being heavily on the chemically enhanced side and deep into it. I mean, that's why I went to fucking college so I could understand the shit. This is the greatest revolution in what we've had available as tools that I've ever seen. And my God, if they keep developing this shit, what's possible with gene therapy? I don't even know. But if peptides get any better, shit, I might be able to train till I'm 80. I don't know. It's incredible, dude. It's just incredible.
Now, do you think that it would make sense for somebody to take Mots-C just by itself without the other things and get
Yeah.
this get the same benefit?
Yeah. I mean, independently, any of these have been incredible, right? So if you're in pain, you're having nagging injuries, whatever, you're 50 like me and you're fucking hurt all over, or you're just like this friend who, walking around in fucking pain all day. Why not? I spent $800 in therapy to try to help my shoulder, and I don't normally that helps if it's not really injured, but it was kind of a waste. I don't know. Physical therapy, if you don't know how to do it, I guess that's fine. But at this point, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need to go and see somebody to get that help. So, whatever it costs to get this, I can't. I would have paid triple because I feel fucking fantastic. But if you want to try something like that, yeah, try Mots-c for. You can buy a bottle and run it every other day. You get 20 days out of it. Um, I don't know if it's incredible. You're going to feel it the first few days. If you don't, then maybe it's not going to work for you, or you're too young, or shit, you got some badass mitochondria. I don't know. But any of these independently, we've talked about the uses of the retatrutide, and you know, it, if you're overweight, you need to drop some body fat, or shit, if you're like us and you're trying to reset your metabolism, your insulin sensitivity. I mean, they're just incredible tools, man. Don't have to take all three class of peptides. You could try either of them, but independently, they've each done something incredible for me.
Yeah. And what you said there about trying if you don't notice anything in a few days, it makes me think of like creatine, right? Like not everybody
Yeah,
responds to it, but maybe they already have natural high stores. Like the
right.
best ones that seem to respond to it are those that don't have natural high stores. So,
100%. 100%. Yeah, and I really, I haven't had anybody not respond except in my personal life. But there's some guys on Twitter, but those guys are, early 30s. So
yeah.
that's what my theory is. But everybody who's, 40s and older, um, they've experienced positive from it. So I I don't know.
What blows my mind, I haven't started yet, experimenting with any peptides personally. I'm gonna here in the very near future, but um is dude like this shit's cheap.
Yeah,
Right? Like if you just think, okay, well, dude, I'm my energy's down, so I'm gonna go, like you mentioned, buying a couple monsters. I mean, what do most people do for energy, dude? Energy
right.
drinks, Starbucks, right? I
It's
mean,
it's easy to rack up $10 a day doing that shit. Easy.
yeah, and what's
You don't
this
even
stuff
have to
break down to
try.
like a couple bucks a day?
I don't know. I mean, we could do the math, but if you feel better, you have more energy, it fixes your mitochondria, you're more sensitive to insulin, you're burning nutrients better. I think it's worth double whatever you're going to spend at fucking Starbucks and then, at Wawa on two monsters. It's it really is, man. And then I think about all the horse shit supplements I buy too, and I'm like, do I need to even buy any of those now?
Yeah,
I take magnesium because if I don't take it for a few days, then my leg starts to twitch at night. Okay, I get that. You know, but I take nattokinase because I think it helps my cardiovascular system. I'm kind of bought into the science. I take vitamin C because with vitamin C and collagen protein, the copper peptide that I'm taking with the Wolverine stack actually helps me synthesize collagen more efficiently. And you need vitamin C as part of that. So, all that stuff makes sense, but the rest of it, I can't tell you if it helps. I put creatine in my drinks anymore, but I can't tell you that I feel it anymore. But I eat a shitload of red meat too. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I've never taken, if we call these research peptides, whatever we're going to call them, for theoretical purposes. But I've never taken anything even close. And I've tried every bodybuilding performance enhancing drug there is, damn near everything in my 10 year. And these are the three so far, just most life changing things I've ever done.
yeah,
You know, Anabolic steroids are a little bit different, but okay, that's in a class in its own. But I would say life changing, physique altering, um, and then you add in what they do for health. They're untouchable.
yeah.
There's no
Versus like
comparison.
anabolics, like yeah, you feel amazing when you're on, especially like, at least for me. Now I feel great on my TRT dose of 160
Yeah,
milligrams a week. Like, if I take, and I've tested it of like, let me just go off for a few weeks and just see how I feel. And I feel like shit when I'm not on it. But,
yeah,
but like, okay, when I'm taking, and I've only done a couple, I guess what you classify as a cycle in my life, like above 500 milligrams a week. And yeah, dude, when you're on it and you're up at that high, yeah, you feel great. But that comes with big negative
it
downsides.
certainly can. Yeah.
And it's not sustainable, right? It's not where like this other
Well,
stuff, it sounds like, you know, there's so many other positive upside benefits from health where it is sustainable.
well, that's the thing too. Like I've heard that before. Like, well, do I have to take this forever? I'm like, I don't know, but if I keep feeling the same way that I do, fuck yeah, I'm going to take it forever. I don't care. It's, I've shot, I don't know, man. I think the last time I calculated it was over 15,000 shots, and that was more than 10 years ago, with between hormones and all the other shit. Taking a couple peptide shots with a quarter-inch insulin needle isn't going to fucking hurt my feelings anytime, especially, for things that actually fucking change my life. It's, yeah, there's no, yeah, I would do even more. Doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But anyway, I hope this was helpful to somebody. But if you try Mots-C and you go, run through one bottle and you don't feel it, it's probably not for you. For whatever reason, you got great mitochondria. But for the rest of the humans, you're probably going to feel it.
Yeah.
And the health benefits and then the energy, just the energy alone, not even counting what it does for you health wise, but it's incredible. It's just an
Yeah.
amazing peptide.
Yep.
Yep.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited to try it here in the very near future, dude. Yeah, right. I'm gonna get on
Yeah.
Retta, Mots-C. Well, I guess the Wolverine stack, and I know that we're gonna save that for another podcast, but does that include Retta?
No. So that's the three kind of what we'll classify as healing peptides: the BPC 157, TB 500, and the copper peptide.
Okay.
Yeah. And all three of them do different things, but stacked together, it makes a lot of sense. Now, if you just had surgery and you wanted to pick one, TB 500 would probably be the best choice, but then I could advocate you would want copper too. If you're doing it just for looks, like if you're a chick in your 30s and you want to keep your skin and you're worried about collagen and all this, I would still take a combination, lower dose, make sure that you hit your copper, your collagen peptides, your vitamin C, and hit some red light. There's so many reasons. My diving buddy, my diving partner, not really losing his hair, but he's, I don't know, he's like 47, 48, starting to thin out a little bit. And he was, when he hit about 3 weeks in on the copper, he's like, I read this could happen, but I didn't really know. But, my wife pointed out I got all these fucking baby hairs now. And so the areas where his hair was thinning out started growing baby hairs. And so I don't know, man, but it's it's pretty fucking cool. It's one of those things, that combination I'm sold on and I'll probably take for the rest of my life. I told you about my dog. I mean, we say that story, but my big dog, he hurt his leg. He blew out his hammy. Whatever he did in his leg, he was sprinting and he tried to cut really hard, and then I heard him yelp and limp. And he had done that a couple times before. And I'm like, oh shit, now he's hurt for 2 weeks. And so I have this kind of therapy protocol with him where I'll get him up and walk him every few hours. We'll just go around the yard. I won't let him sprint because he likes to charge out the door, all those things. Then when he's not limping, we'll start to go on longer and longer walks. And I have this whole thing. So I thought, well, shit, I could use I could use these on him. Research only, allegedly fakes. I'm making up a story. It's not real life. Called a vet buddy of mine, and I said, "What do you think?" It's like, "Yeah, there's studies. Try it out." Okay, what do you think the dose was? So we came up with the dosage. Started shooting him up. 4 days later, the motherfucker's sprinting. I'm like, all right, he doesn't have a placebo. Um, I'm just a believer now, man.
Yeah. So then, okay, so the Wolverine stack separate from Mots-C and separate from Retta.
Yeah,
And so that's kind of, and again, we'll get into the Wolverine stack in another podcast, but those are kind of the, I guess, five primary that you're really focused on.
yeah, I love it. Next experiment is a cerebrolysin, kind of the brain reset. And there's a lot of clinical data on that. It's a really cool compound. We'll talk about that at some point. But yeah, I'm just kind of working my way through. And like I said, the other mitochondrial type peptides, if I'm taking an SLUP pill and it makes me sweat a little bit more when I'm doing the bike, I don't really care. It didn't give me energy. It didn't do all that. If I want to sweat more, I'll take an ephedra tab. It's not like it really did anything crazy for me, and I don't really buy into the science. But the Mots-C, the science makes more sense, and then just the result. So you might have to try a few things. I don't know, but I've never heard anybody talk about any of those other mitochondrial type peptides like Mots-C.
Yeah.
So
So as we wind this down, man, I mean, any last thoughts, suggestions?
buy from a reputable source.
Yeah. Yeah. And if any of you guys or anybody that's watching or listening to this, or I guess if you're listening to this, there's no way to really leave comments. But if you're watching this on YouTube, any questions, anything that you want us to discuss and future podcasts, toss those below. We check all the comments to every video that we put out. So comment below. And as always, Jim, truly appreciate being here, man. It's been a lot of fun, brother.
Yeah, same, bro.
All right, you guys, watch and listen. Thank you guys for all your support. Keep crushing it, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.